Hey, it's Mike, your host of Craft Beer Storm. How are you doing today? I just got back from Kegs and Eggs at the HopYard, and that they are in Gorham, Maine. They're growing hops in Maine, really good hops. They're affiliated actually with Crosby Hop Farm. They're working with them as well, and actually, we had, if you want to check out episode 38, we had Zach Shoroloki, who is the marketing manager of Crosby Hop Farm, and he goes into a lot of good things that they're doing. But yeah, the HopYard, I just found out about them, I think, last week. They invited me to this event, but it was a really great event. It was outdoors. They took us on a tour of the hops. They have about 10 acres of hops, which is fantastic, but the farm is huge. But it was good stuff. All right, so let's get to it. Hey, we're here with Terry. He's the sales manager of HopYard. How you doing, Terry?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a great event here. Beautiful day. And I didn't know they grew hops in Maine. Yeah, I met you at the New Hampshire Brewers Festival in Concord, and you're like...
Yeah, so we've been growing hops in Maine since 2011. Maine actually traditionally was a pretty rich history of hop growing in the early 1800s, about the mid-1800s. Same thing with New York. New England in general was the biggest hop producer in America until that time.
That's unbelievable, and everything moved out to the Pacific Northwest. But I guess the climate here is okay for hops. I guess it's snow. We talked about it before. The snow is good for vines.
Yeah, they need a dormancy period. They need some time to reset for the next year. They're perennial plants, so they grow back every single year. We cut the whole plant down during harvest, and they go through a nice dormancy period over the winter, which helps them get ready for the next year.
So it's great, and then it just happens every year. But you were showing me there's smaller, it's like different stages of hops, and I didn't realize they're just female, right?
All female. Yeah, all the plants are female.
That's unbelievable. So they just regrow. You want to keep males away from them.
Yeah, with the males, they carry the pollen, and if they were to pollinate the rest of the field, the female plants, we'd end up with very seedy hop cones, which we don't want.
No, and the hop process is not like they grow, there's hop pellets that grow on trees. It's a very long process. I mean, in terms of you have a machine that takes the whole vine off and then brings it in?
Yeah, we cut the whole vine down in the field onto a trailer, and then once the trailer's nice and full, we take it back to our picking barn where we have a German wolf harvester, which has a series of picking fingers and picking wheels that actually remove the hops and the leaf and any material from that central vine and then separate them from there.
So the whole thing is the cone, and inside of the cone, you were showing me, I have some pictures of it, I'll post as well, but there's this yellowy substance. I guess that's a lupulin?
Lupulin powder, yeah, lupulin oil glands. So they're essentially little resin glands that carry your oil content to give you potential bitterness and flavor, aroma, all that stuff. And that's inside the hops.
I mean, the hops, malt, when you make malt beer, it's very sweet, and you need the hops to bitter it up.
Exactly. Yeah, the oil is filled with things called alpha acid, which is a bittering potential for that hop. And when you go through the bittering process and that the oils come into contact with hot liquor, hot wort, or the beginning of the beer, that goes through an isomerization phase with that heat, which creates isoalpha, which is a bittering effect and gives you that bitterness in the beer.
Right. It's just awesome that you guys are up here. And what did you do before this?
I was a brewer for a long time.
Where were you brewing?
I was at Liquid Riot here in Portland for 5 years. Yeah.
How long have they been open for?
About 6 years now. I left there to come do this. I was one of the opening people on staff there.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, it's a beautiful day here. Beautiful. The farm is awesome. What are the origins of the farm here?
So Charlie, who's one of our owners in HopYard, is the owner of the property. He has been on this property, his family's been on this property since the late 1700s. So he's seventh generation on this farm here.
That's awesome. But then there was I think there was a graveyard.
Yeah, that's got about 6 generations of Hamlins there. The original millstone for the property's there. A couple of original barns from the early 1800s, and it's a pretty cool property. About 200 acres of total property.
And you're going to get some cattle up here too, I guess?
Cattle's coming in, yeah. We'll have some cattle. Eventually, the fence is getting built now. That was kind of the origin of the farm. Originally, it was hay, cattle, dairy. They had some other animals as well, but that was kind of where this farm originated and what they did for a long time.
So now the hop cones, you separate them from the vines, and then what do you do with them?
So we have a dryer that we built here. So those cones either go wet to brewers, which is a really fun process, and a lot of our hops every year go to brewers the very same day they're harvested to be brewed with. Again, that very same day. So they're going from plant through the picker and into beer within a matter of hours.
Right. But that's delicious. Fresh hops.
Yeah, we do a lot of fresh hop beers with a lot of breweries from all over New England. If they don't get sold wet, we then have a dryer that we will dry. So there's no waiting around with hops after they come off the vine. It's either they get brewed with or they get dried. So we have a dryer that we built here. They'll get dried and then cured, which is a pretty important process to make sure that all the cones are evenly dry. So we have a curing room where we do that, and then a baler. So those hops will get compressed into a very large rectangle full of hoppy goodness for about 120 pounds or so.
And then what do you do with that?
That will get shipped to Oregon, to Crosby Hop Farm, which is a partner of ours that we work very closely with. I do their representation in Maine and New Hampshire, and then we send our hops there to pelletize. They'll be stored deep freeze and then shipped from there to people that would like to brew with them.
Yeah, and I just missed Zach. He was out here for the week. I didn't even know he was going to be here, but I interviewed him at the Craft Brewers Conference out in Denver. He's a great guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. It's you have an awesome farm here. How many varieties do you have up here?
We grow 6 varieties. We grow Cascade, Centennial, Sterling, Willamette, Nugget, and Comet.
I like the Nugget. I think you showed me some of that.
Yep. Yeah, the Nugget is really interesting. It's very unique. All of our hops here are pretty different from their West Coast counterparts. I think that's due to terroir, which is a whole conversation we could spend an hour podcast on talking about. But it's, growing conditions, the soil conditions, our pick windows are fairly similar to West Coast farms, but a little bit different. So, a lot of different influences, but, some really unique hops. Our Nugget is pretty bright, got some nice, orange marmalade character to it, and really, really cool, unique hop.
It is a nice hop. I sampled some of it. It's delicious. And then I was thinking about making a Maine beer, because I talked to Maine Grains, Amber.
Yeah.
Maine Grains. She's doing a lot of good things with growing barley. They used to grow the most barley in the country, I think, around the Civil War. Wow. They were saying the most barley that came out of the U.S. came down here and went down to the troops.
I didn't know that. That's really cool. I know those guys, and they do a great job in their malt. It's fantastic. Yeah. So that would be really cool.
I've used it before. It's really good stuff, too, yeah. And I didn't know about the female hop thing. You learn something new every day. Yeah. I thought males and females had to get together in terms of hops. Are you saying it's a bad thing?
If you were actively breeding hops, that'd be great. That'd be what you need to do that. But for us, we're not trying to breed. We're trying to keep our hops consistent, high quality, and that means no seeds for the most part.
And that probably keeps it pure, and then year after year it becomes better.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely. You want to keep the males out of the field. You don't want any genetic drift happening, and you want to keep your field consistent, and that's definitely one way to do it.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much for having me up here, and keep going. I got to get some of your hops, do some beers.
That sounds great. Love to make it happen. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. And that was Terry Peterson. He's the sales director of the HopYard in Gorham, Maine. And they're working with Crosby Hop Farm out west and making good hops. Showed us the baler. I'm not sure exactly what it was called, but it takes all the vines and separates all the hops out. It was made in Germany. It had to cut the thing in half. It was crazy. They had to cut the thing in half to ship it. They put one half in one container, one half in another container, and then the rest of the parts in another container to ship it here, and then they welded it back together. But it's just a huge machine, but it does a fantastic job because the Germans know what they're doing in terms of beer. and it's good stuff. So they're in Maine. They're doing well. I want some of their hops. I want to try to make a Maine beer. We got Maine grains as well. I want to get some flaked wheat from them, and we'll make a nice IPA with some Maine hops and grain, which is cool. But that is that's what we have for today. If you like our podcast, please go into iTunes, give us a rating and review. It takes 2 minutes. Be great if you can do that. It gets us up in the rankings. It exposes us to more people. iTunes has these algorithms where it picks up this stuff, and it just shows up everywhere if we get more. All right, so I hope you are doing well today, and have a great rest of the day. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. Take care.